One of my viewers asked me a really good question the other day, and they wanted me to talk a little bit about my experience coming into menopause. It's called perimenopause, is that time period as the body's beginning to shift. And mine began probably like in my 40s. It was a really interesting time because I never had really a tough cycle each month. But what happened in my 40s is that emotionally, I felt like I was really becoming like unbalanced in a very unusual way, where I was working at that time for a company, a natural remedy company, and I'd always been self-employed before. So I was working with an office with a lot of women around. And so what would happen is getting close to that time each month, let's just say, for example, an email came in and I would read it and I would have a big emotional reaction to it. And I'd fire something back and like, and then it would create this whole kerfuffle, and people get defensive and there'd be problems and all of that. And they'd be like, what do you think, what are you talking about, Elisa? That's just not the way it is. And I'm like, yeah, no, because you said XYZ in your email. Well, after I had my cycle, I'd go back and I would look at that same email, and the email, it was like nothing. It was like no big deal. But it seemed like that whole, like there was like a lens covering my perspective beforehand that really distorted things, and distorted things in maybe a paranoid way or in a heightened emotional way. And I would take things the wrong way. And then once my cycle leveled out, it was all over with, and then I would turn back to normal. Well, that really intensified when I hit my 40s. And then after that, things started closer to my 50s, things started to balance out. But during that time, it was a little chaotic. Oh my God. I have a very embarrassing story, which I'll share with you, that happened to me, my partner, and I'm not proud of this, but looking back at it is really funny because it was the pinnacle of my premenopausal, my perimenopausal, hysterical moment. And I'm a pretty balanced person, but anyway, so this instance, we were out camping and we were in Northern California. We went to this beautiful lake and had all these nice rocks, and we were swimming. It was so fun. I looked forward to being in the tent, even though I don't like sleeping on the ground, but being in the tent, having like a really peaceful night's sleep in the wilderness. Well, just down from us was this whole group of ATVers, all these men, and they decided they're gonna party all night long. And it was hot, it was summer, I was hot in the tent, I was really tired, I was grouchy, I was perimenopausal, and this group of guys, they partied and they carried on. Because the lake is right there, it just was like they were next door to us. So I was so irritated. It was just not the experience I wanted. And then in the morning when we woke up, we had our slack line set up right in front of our tent. I mean, just like a few feet off our tent. And for those of you that don't know, a slack line is like a couple inch thick webbing that, you string it between two trees or two posts and you walk across. It's almost like a tightrope. It's really an incredible exercise of balance. And so we were kind of working on that, and we undid it. So on the one side was the apparatus that you can crank it tighter, and then the other side was just the webbing. So I get up in the morning, our webbing's gone. It was stolen. And I knew all these ATVers, they use a lot of webbing because they crank it around trees and they pull themselves out and do whatnot with it. I went into a blind rage and I went storming into their campground, just hot-headed as all get out, and I started cussing, and I was looking around, and they're all crashed out. They're all hungover, crashed out, and I'm like, I didn't take a towers, or who took it? And I'm going through, and I'm looking at everybody's stuff, and the guys are waking up, and they're, lady, what's your problem? And they're getting like really angry, and I'm yelling back, and this is like so not me. And my partner, he sat in the back, and he was just like, oh my God, Elisa, stop, you're gonna get us killed, just stop. But he could not stop me. I could not stop me. I was in a rage. And so I couldn't find it. So I proceeded to stomp off. And he's like, oh my God, you're going to get us killed. We've got to go pack up. We got to get out of here now. So we did. And by that time I started calming down. I'm like, oh my God, I cannot believe I just did that. And it was definitely a menopausal moment. That is like the biggest one I had as far as that goes. But the moral of the story is that my emotions got really hard to handle during that time. One of the tricks that I learned was that anytime I was upset about something, except for the tree and the webbing incidents, we put that aside as just a complete anomaly, But one of the things I realized when I was working in a space with other people is that if whatever I perceived was happening, if I got upset about something, I could never respond until like I wasn't in reaction anymore. And I've held this true, in my life from there forward, from that point forth, that if I am in an emotional reaction to something, that I wait. I wait until I'm balanced out, then I look at it again, and then I figure out how I want to respond to it instead of react to it. So that's a good lesson to learn when things are topsy-turvy. So I'm going to have, tomorrow morning, I'm interviewing a woman, Dr. Corey, who is out in New York, and she deals a lot with herbs and natural supplements and really natural health care for women. So one of my big questions for her is, building up to menopause. And menopause is the moment when your period stops. And then after that, you're postmenopause. Before that, you're perimenopause or premenopause. So I want to ask her about what women can do to take care of themselves up to that point. So we'll see. And I'll talk to some other different practitioners to get their take on how best to approach this, because I'm sure there's a lot of supplementation and things that can be used that will help even that out. I'm trying to think at that time, there was some herbs I was using. I was experimenting with some different things, but kind of basically the bottom line is I just had to go through that cycle. Nothing took it away. My hot flashes were very minimal, which is good, but nothing like saved me from that process. I just had to get through it. Now I do actually some different hormonal creams and stuff like that just to keep some level of hormones in my body. But I'm going to kind of relook at that and see about another approach. Anyways, that's my big tip. Sorry, I don't have more for you on that. But really, there's going to be a place where you're going to have to learn some skills around handling those emotions, only so that they don't come out and lash out towards other people and create, havoc in your life. And that is, once again, is just to, no matter what you're having a feeling about something, a reaction, is just stop. Don't respond until you calm out. Look at the situation again, and then see what kind of proactive, or not proactive, but just response you can have to it. So that's my only tip I have right now, but I promise you that we will look into this in depth and get some more, experienced people in this range in natural health care, from the energetics down to the physical, to see what all we could do to help balance it out, because, it's a tough place to be in, and it can last a long time. Once again, I started in my early 40s and lasted basically like about 10-year period of time, or at least a good solid 8 or 9. And yeah, it was crazy. It was a little crazy time. So anyways, that's just a little tidbit right now. And I will have more in store for you to hopefully help out in the days to come. So God bless and peace within.